Okay. Waiting for YouTube to start the green light. Okay, so I have a green light from YouTube. Cool. And I will pause it here. Okay, so can we see me? Can we hear me? Waits for chat to catch up. Cool. We hear and we see. Awesome. Cool. Well, hello everyone. I'm Ray. This is going to be part 2 of our DICE build. DICE is this wonderful, very, very small, very, very precise 3D printer made by this guy Rene from Germany. And we'll be doing the build here. I got a nice kit of parts. And we'll be figuring it out with no shortage of issues and lacking of understanding and making it up as we go along. Cool. So let's see what we have in chat so far. Cool. So Galactic said, hey. Hello, Galactic. He also asks, is your channel now going to be a 3D printing channel? Well, sure. Yeah, we'll do 3D printing stuff. I like 3D printing stuff. We can do some advanced technical things that nobody even dreams of. And we'll televise it and fail miserably and learn along the way. Sure, happy to do that. Okay. Hello, Ashley. I'm assuming you can indeed hear me running my mouth. So, we're good there. Okay, so. Let's get started. Okay. Okay, so. I have some things to show you. This. Ooh, we can play with views now. This is view 3, which is just the down-facing camera, and you should still be able to hear me in this view, right? I think we got this fixed now. Please confirm. Okay. So, yeah, we have a little bit of fasteners all around here, and yeah, a little bit of fasteners. This is all kitted from a shop in Germany. They sell some DICE-related parts, including the linear slides, and then also the fastener set, and other parts. Also, we have this spreadsheet which shows all the screws that I'm going to need for each step with a count. And I do not have a document camera, nor do I have any screen sharing set up, so all I can tell you is this is going to be useful. Woohoo! So, another beautiful thing is all the labels are in German. I do not speak German. This is fun. I am going off of the quantities listed and also the measurements, because numbers are still numbers across various languages. So we can just do stuff like that. I'm now putting the screws aside. Actually, yes, we want this. I will explain in a moment. Okay, so fasteners are now off to the side. Step 1, and the beauty of the steps is so the only instruction manual for DICE really is a series of YouTube videos that Rene, the creator, has made. and they are in German, and I've told you exactly how fluent I am in German. They do have English subtitles, but the subtitles are interesting to understand. So this is very interesting. So we can just, follow along and figure it out as we go, which is what's going to make this so fun. Right now, I am unpacking the linear rails, and I'm doing this for no reason at all. I'll explain in a moment. Yay, loud noises. What we're going to do is we're going to get the rails out of the bags. And we're going to get them in all their greasy glory onto a plate. Then we're going to put the plate aside so we don't get any metal dust onto the rails. But the idea here is going to be that we have to grind down some nuts, which I will explain in a moment. Okay, so here we have a 140. I will grab a knife. These are very expensive rails. We can feel the grease. How beautiful. They're actually double bagged for rigidity. There is grease all over them. This is wonderful. It is extremely smooth. You can see they have these rubber bands here to keep it on the rail, because if it comes off, then the bubbles inside will fall out. So yes, thoroughly greased. This is a 140. Hello, Mark. So, a little bit of paper towel. May have been a good idea to, for example, get a Q-tip as well. Because there is grease inside the holes, and we're going to have to punch that out somehow. Yeah. Very, very precise methods. Plier tip. Oh, it comes right out. Beautiful. I also have an entire set of screws, literally a meter that way. And there's more than enough fine tipped ones there that I could just reach over and get it, but of course, that's not going to happen. Cool. Alrighty. So who's in chat? What are you guys up to? Let's see, Galactic asks, how much dollars is this printer? I think the BOM is like 1,000 euros for the base model. That's, without water cooling. So 1,200 American to get started. The beauty of this is it's all open source. Oh, hello, Chris. The beauty of this is that it's all open source. So there's a full BOM available. There's a shop in Germany that I will really get the name of one of these days, and we'll do that. And they have the fasteners, they have these rails, which I do not advise trying to source in America. They're about twice as expensive in America. This is Misumi. So yeah. All the fun stuff. Okay. Wonderful. So now let me show you. Bill, welcome. Okay. So this is fun. This is a slotted nut. Typical nut that goes on a screw. It's hexagonal, and that's how you grip it. And yeah, these are round. They actually have a single scored line going down, and you use this little kind of like a tool with the two tines, like a fork, to go inside that slot. And yeah, suffice to say I have none of those things. I did learn the German word for this, slotted nut, Schlitzmuten. Schlitzmuten. Now here's the cool part. You can't even get these from McMaster Carr in the USA. So this doesn't exist in America, but there's a word for it in the German language. So, wonderful. Again, just, you know, this is why I chose not to try to source all these little things myself, and instead, you know, got it kitted. Okay, so we're gonna take one of these. I need an M3 screw. Hang on a moment. I do not yet want to pull from the kit. I'll just use a spare. So we're going to put a slotted nut onto an M3 screw. Cool. Has anyone just joined? If you're new to the stream, please stop by and chat and say hello. Okay, so we have a slotted nut on the end of a screw, and we have the hole here, and it does not go in, and we're not going to force it in. This was expected. What we need to do is we need to sand the outer rim of these slotted nuts to the point that they will fit inside the pocket. This will be fun. So, I did prepare. I have a drill. This is going to get loud, so if you're in headphones or whatever, be prepared. And I have already chucked an M3 screw into the drill. We are going to put some Schlitzmuten, slotted nuts. Oh, and I think Renee will watch this stream in the next day, and he will completely roast me for my pronunciation of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to chuck a bunch of these slotted nuts. Rather, we're going to thread them onto the M3 screw, which is already chucked. And this will be fun. According to the BOM of the screws, there are 26 of these. And 11, 14 plus 12, indeed 26 are used. So these go inside the larger holes, the pockets as I'll call them, of the very expensive linear rail. And they hold the nut from the bottom, they hold the screw that will hold them to the frame. You know, like a conventional nut. It goes on the end of the screw. There's another interesting point. We're going to have to cut some screws down. Just 2 of them. But that's in a few steps. So that's probably going to happen before the next stream. I have sandpaper. I have an audio warning for whoever may or may not be watching at this time, if you're in headphones. You know, that. sandpaper with a utility knife is a great idea. Okay, let's get started. So yes, sandpaper around slotted nut, around the drill. Feel the heat on the fingers, see the dust flowing away. Okay. I actually brought up my compressor from downstairs. It's not plugged in. No way that I'm going to run it here, but I am going to turn it on and we're just going to use it for a quick puff. Elastic asks, what is the build volume of this printer and do you have any other printers? Yes, I have a few printers. So the dice is 200 millimeters cube, so that's the outside dimensions. And in theory, you should be able to print 100 by 100 by 100 millimeters, which is 4 inches-ish. Depending on how you clip the bed, you might have to like work around the binder clips, so it might be a little smaller, like 80 by 80 millimeters. But that's to be seen. It's very small, very precise. I have about 15 other printers, including this one. I have a lot of printers, and most of them are 200 by 200 by 200 millimeters in printable area. So this is going to be the small one for very, very small, very, very precise prints. That's a lot. Yep. Lots of fun. Okay, so now let us try to insert. And it's still a very tight fit, so we'll just keep going. And we keep going. Okay. I should have probably done this, ahead of time, because now we've got a lot of just audio concerns, and this is probably going to take a while. I think I'm going to turn audio off for a little bit. I'll turn it back on if I see anything in chat, and I'll answer questions in chat. Yeah, I'm just going to do this for a bit. The sandpaper was getting very hot, so I've switched over from my nitrile gloves to work gloves. And this is going a little too slowly, so we'll go over to the more coarse sandpaper. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got 7 Schlitzmuten slotted nuts on here, which is how many I'm going to need for the first step, which has got to do with the x-axis, the x-rail. So we just need to get this done for now. Audio going off again. Okay, it's time to switch some stuff up on here. I want to see if maybe the one on the very end is not getting all the sanding and one of the other ones is going to be any better. Nah, I think it's going pretty uniform and we just have to, you know, do more for all of it. So it'll be fun. Okay, so the idea right now is I'm going to try sanding just the outer one, and one at a time we'll fit them in and we'll get 7 working ones this way. And then hopefully for the next stream I can actually prepare the rest of these off camera, so that we don't waste however long this is going to take trying to figure this one out. But I think it's good for people to be able to refer to exactly how long this took, you know, in the future. Cool. Audio going off. Hey Galactic, welcome back. We're just watching me struggle with sanding down the slotted nuts to the appropriate diameter very, very slowly and with the audio off because I don't want to hurt all of your hearings. I think we've gotten pretty close, at least on the first one. So I'm going to give it a quick blow. And then we'll take it off. And we'll see if we can drop it in to the rail. I really should have brought tweezers for this step. Nah, it's still a bit tight at the bottom. important thing is never to force it. So I'm going to do the first stupid thing for this evening, and I'm going to get a file. Because I think the problem is with the very edge of it. So I'm just going to give it a quick chamfer. And that still does not do it. So we can see another one. We'll see whether the next one's any better. The next one is not any better by any stretch. But we are getting closer. Everybody enjoying themselves so far. It's very nice that we've got 4 people just watching, or at least listening, as to how we are literally sanding micrometers off of these little round pieces of stainless steel. Very interesting. Lots of fun. And probably something I should have prepared in advance. I could have just spent the whole day working on the 22 of these pieces, and yeah, that'll be it. That's wonderful. Hey, the first one finally goes in. Well, we can get it off now. There we go. Give it a very nice burst of air. And it didn't drop in, but with just a very light press, it went right in. That's good. That's as good as we've gotten so far. And there's a nice puddle of stainless steel shavings to show for it. Wonderful. Cool. Alright, so that's one good one. Next up, number 2. I think the second one's just going to need a little bit. And eye protection is important. You don't want little specks of stainless steel in your eyes. That might be generally unpleasant. Woohoo, got the next one. Okay, next. Put it on my other screw, just, a couple of threads. There we go, that goes in. Beautiful. Take it off, give it a little puff of air. Woohoo. Next up, number 3. Needs a little more persuasion. Yep. We'll just be repeating this. Woohoo. The good news is once these 7 in total are done, might actually be able to do some real construction. Possibly getting closer. Possibly. This is going to take some fun time. Remember, we don't want to force it because that would disfigure the rail. I'm actually going to substitute these screws out of the chuck in my drill, because this one has a longer non-threaded section that I'd like to take advantage of. There's actually no reason to do this, come to think of it. Wonderful. This guy almost goes in. This guy barely goes in. Yes, Schlitzmuten. Lots of fun. This needs a glove. Barely. And barely. So I had a theory that the stuff on the farthest, on the most innermost one, would not be, rather would be getting more sanding. In fact, it is not. Not even a little bit. So that's wonderful. So we'll redo it onto this screw, which is not better, but it does stick out more. Maybe I can get a little more contact, a little better contact on the sandpaper. And I'm about to get very frustrated, and I can literally go downstairs and put this to the bench grinder. That would be fun. I could see myself using the bench grinder on this. That's a great way to lose all forms of precision. Alrighty then. Let's get back to it. Audio. Yay, one more goes in. That's hot. The next one's getting close. And what's interesting is the stainless steel is sanding the sandpaper more than the other way around. So we're actually losing all of the, the grits, if you will. The sandy part. Now we're just putting holes in sandpaper here. Those things rub out quick. Audio. See, the sandpaper just ends up with holes in it, that's it. Woohoo, that's one more. That seems to have become an appropriate size. And then we check the next one on the thread. And we repeat. Telly Montelli, welcome. This is the preparation for step one. We have these tiny little round things called slotted nuts, and they're slightly oversized in diameter for the hole in the rail that they need to go in. So I would easily say the last half an hour has been me with sandpaper and a drill getting the diameter down ever so slightly, a little bit at a time, and resisting the urge to just go put these on the bench grinder and be done with it. Lots of fun. So yes, so the step one is assembling of the X rail. This is pre-step one. I thought we could do this in like 20 minutes, but I think we've been on this for more like 40 right now. And then when I'm running the drill, I started turning the audio off so I don't blow out all your eardrums. Like now. The battery in my drill has just died, so I'm going to go downstairs, get the second one, and get the charger. I'll be back in a minute. I am back with charger. And with second battery. let's continue. Once again, please notice the wonderful stainless steel filings on my work table. This will be wonderful. Full 4 bars. Let's get started. Audio off. Now we have to loosen these a little bit because they get tightened against each other with the various forces. And we give it a little puff of compressed air. Get any dust and other crud out of there. And try it into the hole. Woohoo! And then we test the next one, which is still too big, and then we repeat the cycle. And audio off. And we're done! As it turns out, the last two both got filed at the same time. So we now have 7 of these ready to go, and it only took almost an hour to do it. Woohoo! Cool. Okay, so I'll put the drill down here. Safety glasses off. I'm just going to take a moment to sweep up the various forms of metal dust from my table here. brush. Yeah, this table is ruined. It's gonna need like a lot of wet cleaning now. These particles really just get in everywhere. Awesome. Okay. Cool. I'm going to give the nuts another quick squirt of compressed air. And we now have 7 nuts and one more quick. Yeah, I also just wanted to blow out the rail itself. It's very smooth and we want to make sure it stays that way. Just that no metal dust from filing these got onto the rail, which is why I was kind of blowing it out before doing the fitting. So now I have to actually watch the subtitled YouTube video to see what Schritt 1, or I guess that means step 1 is for the X-axis installation, and we'll turn subtitles on in English. Real quick, so we have my down-facing camera and we have my camcorder, and these are connected to my workstation over there via nice cables which I nailed to the ceiling. Yay! However, oh, and there is a screen here which is also connected to the workstation, which is where I'm controlling the stream from. However, I need another screen, and I do not have another screen nor a cable long enough to run it at this moment, so I've just put my laptop here. Different computer means I cannot show you what I'm seeing. If you Google Dice 3D printer, there's an Instructable, which I believe is the first result in Google, and it has the description, it has all the YouTube videos, which are the instructions, and that's pretty much what I'm going along with right now. So I'm just going to watch for a moment and act accordingly. Shoot. So first thing is, according to my Excel, I have step 1, what to do, X rail, slotted nut 7, and cheesehead Torx M3x8. So we'll take a look. I'll switch views. We'll take a look, and we will find I have indeed an M3x8. This is a button head. And to make sure that there's no miscommunication with the language barrier, I'm going to Google what is a cheesehead screw. A cheesehead screw is very different. A cheesehead screw, very, very different. 6. This is M3 by 8mm Torx, so this is one option. Hey, I just dropped the box with a rail in it. Wonderful. Okay. M3, no. M4, no. M340, M320, M36, M36 of this type. Okay, so actually this here which is Linsen Kopfschraube Torx M3 by 8. I'm actually going to try to put that into translate. Or even the original. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, this is the only M3 by 8mm I have found. It looks like what's in the video, so it's the oval head with Torx. Yeah, we'll make this happen. So I'm going to take out 7 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we will set aside here. Okay. So. Okay, so now I need the X sheet. It's a piece of sheet metal. I will get it now. Okay. Just so you can see, we actually have 2 different ones. And the one we want is this longer one. This is the one for X. And in the video I'm watching, Renee explains, well, various things. He explains how the the chamfers are different. So on the one side, you can see the there's this kind of like a countersink on the outer holes. And when you flip it, there's a countersink on the inner holes. Oops. So we need a rail. And it seems like we are indeed going to be using the 140 millimeter rail for this. That was just a wild guess in my book, but okay. And we're putting the rail on the side where the countersinks are on the outer edges. I'm now taking the rubber bands off. Yes. And we're going to essentially use a screw and a slotted nut. Slotted nut inside, and hope it goes in, which it does not want to. Wonderful. So we put the slotted nuts inside. I've just put them into two, and then I will put a screw through. And now is going to be a good time to get the appropriate screwdriver. Nice set of Torx bits and screwdriver from Home Depot, about $7. I'll try to find the right one. This seems to be a T10. And we will drive the screw. Not tightening anything at this point, just having at it. Okay, now someone was telling me that the Misumi rails are thinner than the Highwind rails. So that would explain why the screw is currently too long and I cannot move the rail past it. So these are M3/8s, so I can see where we might need M3/6s for this. That is something I would have to get. Or we could use a washer. Either way. Okay. See, the rail is not going to go past that. The rail is not going to go past that. So that's a concern. And I will have to decide right now whether I want to do washers or if I want to switch to M3/6 screws. try M3/6 and see what happens. M3/6. Okay. Okay, so that just only grabs a little bit, the M3/6. But it might be enough. And now the rail will go clearly all the way to the end. Okay. M3/8, we're going to take it out. Okay. M3/6 coming in. Okay. That only grabs a little bit, but that's all we're going to need. Now we have full motion here, full motion here. And this is very, very smooth. So satisfying. Very nice. Let's do the rest of these. Slot it up. Slide it up. Slide it up. Remember, we don't want to force it. Just lightly entertain it. Make sure the rail still moves fully. Put the M3/8s back in a bag. And if Renee says that I can use a washer, that's easier because I do have washers, but I don't have these M3/8 Torx heads. So, well, we'll figure it out one way or the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll just hold them and we'll get them started. Okay. Next. We'll move the rail head over to this side, or the carriage as it's actually called. And I'm just very lightly tightening it right now. Just, barely hitting, Just the tiniest bit of fat. Whoop! And the carriage came off. Wonderful. We prefer when this doesn't happen. Seems like all the balls remained intact. Wonderful. Okay, and last one. Okay. Very light right now. I'll still be able to adjust it later. Or rather, I'll loosen it and then we'll still be able to adjust it later. Okay, let's see what's next. One of the things we're going to do is I'm going to loosen up all the middles because we're going to align the rail to the sheet by going like this. See, I can get the rail to wobble a little bit. I'm going to hold it together and tighten one side, and then I'm going to come over here. I can swing it back and forth a little bit. And I'm going to align the rail on the sheet. I'm going to tighten here. I'm going to see that I can run my fingers back and forth very nicely. I'm happy. And now I'm going to go ahead and very lightly tighten all of these. Cool. Okay, next. Now, with the slot nuts, it's very interesting because there's a tool that's required for them, and I don't have this tool. Along with most other tools. I don't have most other tools either. So, we, I don't know, try some flathead bits, and see, that's too small. This larger flathead bit. So now it'll engage two sides. Woohoo! I just want to see how this is going to turn out. And the rail falls off again. These rubber bands are going to be very handy right now. I'm going to put them on. Or I could, like, get tape or something, but rubber band's better. Nah, too tight. That's not happening. Okay, I'll just be careful. So, flathead in one side. Yeah, that holds a little bit. We can do that and tighten the screw. And then I will go to the other side. Flathead, Torx. Yeah, that holds. Nice. Then I'll go down and tighten the other ones. I'm not sure if I should use Loctite on these. There's always room to come back and do it again later. Continuing. And that's tightened. Cool. One moment. Coolio. I think we're good. Just my laptop got disconnected for a moment. But we're good. Okay, so this concludes step one, the linear rail is mounted very precisely to what I call the backing plate, or the sheet metal plate, for this. And this is the x-axis rail. Wonderful. Let's see. Let's see what is next. Step 2 involves the Y carriage. And this is the printed parts. And I'm going to fail at understanding how to do this very, very completely. Okay. I will get a few parts. Seems like we need a few printed parts. This is one of them. And these two seem to be identical. And these are the sides of the y-axis. These will move as so. Yes. Side. These openings right here are for the belts, the belt paths. This is wonderful, and nice print quality. Everybody's a happy camper. So I've got these parts here. I'm also going to need M3 by 10, the same Torx type that we have here. M3 by 10. Okay. Okay. Let's see what we got here. M3 by 10 pieces. Okay, so it seems like these go in opposite ways. So this one's going to have a hole at the top, this one's going to have a hole at the bottom, and they're going to face each other, I guess. But they're the same part, just positioned differently, I think. I can also dig up the CAD model for a moment and reference that, which I will do. Yes, in both cases, where there's the two belt openings, that faces this way, towards the front of the machine, which is where the opening is, versus the rear of the machine is where the motors and the back plate would be. Front of the machine, multiple belt paths coming out. Okay. And then this part, I will need to confirm the positioning of it as well in a moment. We would think that it would matter. It doesn't matter. Either way, the belt path here is always front, lower, top, lower. Okay. Next. looks like I'm going to take this and start screwing it directly into the plastic. Like so. Grab the M3x10s. Grab the Torx bit and we'll just get started. So, Torx driver, M3x10 screw. I'm going to try to go right into the plastic. If this doesn't work, I have to dig out my M3 tap because I need that in a few places here. Okay, that's not going. So that would be the idea here, is we would have to put the M3x10 screws into these 8 holes here, and we're going to thread it into the plastic. I think I'm going to have to come back to this when I find my M3 tap and just run that through real quick so that we actually have threads in the plastic, because the hole is too small right now, and assuming I've gotten the correct screw, which I believe no, it's not. It's not a cheese head that we want, it's a sink screw. And I don't know what a sink screw is, but let me find something else that might be an M3x10. Lincoln. No, this is it. This is the right one. So I'm going to need to tap them. Okay, right. Countersunk head. Yeah, I've got the right screw. I'm going to need to tap the plastic because this stuff's just not going in right now. Okay. Okay, so this has been going for 2 hours. The next step, so we're going to have to tap the plastic as discussed, and I'll run it by Renee to make sure that we're on the same page about that. And then I can start off the next stream with that. I'll have the remainder of the slotted nuts prepared ahead of time, this time around. And yeah. Hey Duo. You came right as I was wrapping up. So we've gotten as far as this is the x-axis. And there is a Misumi linear rail with cart that is now very, very precisely mounted to the sheet metal backing plate that, you know, it goes on. Now, for these, we have these 2 printed parts. where the belts will run through. And they will go screwed to here like so. However, I cannot get the screws in right now, so I'm going to have to come back to this and thread the plastic. Once I find my set of taps and my M3 tap, I'm going to tap the plastic. Also, we spent about the first hour pretty much sanding these little slotted nuts. It's instead of a hex nut, it's round. And it has like this little groove for you to put like a little fork through to prevent it from spinning. Anyways, by default the diameter is too big for the pocket that is inside the rail. So I spent the first hour with a drill and sandpaper destroying the ears of everyone watching. So we got those into the 7 holes inside the rail. That was fun. And yeah, so now we've got this, and there's a third printed part. And we can come back to this tomorrow, have all that prepared, ready to go, quickly drive these screws in, and then move on to the larger axial assembly. Woohoo! And you say you were busy bashing your own machine, and you like the linear, it looks nice. Yes, it does. I really like it. Cool. So I think I will hang around for another few minutes in case anyone has any closing remarks. Please pop them in chat. And yeah, we'll be wrapping this up for the evening in a few minutes. And yeah, it's extremely smooth. I think this set of 4 rails cost like 170 euros. Or is that only for a pair? I forget. They're ridiculously expensive. I think if you buy from Misumi America, 1 pair of these rails costs 170. But from Germany they were cheaper. Misumi Europe was a better deal there. So yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of money for these rails, but you know, beautiful stuff. Alright guys, have a good night. Cheers, and see you next time.